Hello, welcome to the Analyst Inside Cricket with me, Simon Hughes.
And I'm Simon Mann.
We're both in headbands to raise money and remember Graham Thorpe's life. Of course, today would have been his 56th birthday. He wore a headband playing for England, and he sadly took his life this time last year. And raising money today for the charity, a mind charity, a mental health charity, 140 grand raised in memory of Thorpe and for the charity, of course, as well. And he would have loved today's play, wouldn't he? 342 runs were scored, 15 wickets were lost, and every ball was an event.
Yeah, at the end of the day's play, we're not much closer to knowing who is going to win this Test match. I mean, it's right in the balance, and I think the Betfair odds reflect that, yours.
They do. I mean, at the start of play, England were 67% likely to win, and India only 24%, with India 200 for 6. But those wickets fell very quickly. India's last 4 wickets fell for just 20 runs. Then England surged ahead with a brilliant opening stand between Crawley and Duckett. And at lunch, England were 76% chance of winning and India only 11. But now, having seen all those wickets falling and India doing rather well in their second innings, 75 for 2, it's neck and neck. It's 47% England, 48% India. So you can't choose. There's a gossamer between the teams, a fag paper.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would rather be in India's position than England. My hunch is, look, it's quite a difficult pitch to bat on, has been for 2 days. My hunch is that tomorrow might be the best day on which to bat on this surface. I suppose how does that continue? Does it go into the 4th and 5th day as well? Therefore, England are batting last. I think the weather is set fair tomorrow, and the overheads might be quite good as far as India are concerned. And they've got through that session tonight relatively unscathed. They lost 2 wickets. I mean, they could have lost more. Jaiswal missed twice. I mean, that could come back and forth. England, Jaiswal's 51 not out. He's played really well so far. He's taken the game to England the way that Duckett did and Crawley did in that start of the England innings. So I mean, it's a brilliant game again, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a different game and a fantastic day's cricket. I mean, if you'd had your ticket for the first day, you'd probably thought, oh, it was a bit of a damp squib, wasn't it? Really, 200 for 6. But today, you got a ticket for today. I mean, you've got your money's worth of knobs on.
Yeah, amazing actually. And I admire the way that both teams have approached it very differently. India have been quite circumspect really with the bat until Jaiswal played some aggressive shots today, but England have been quite inventive, and then that opening stand of nearly 100 by Crawley and Duckett was absolutely riveting and brilliant and contrasting in their styles. I mean, it started so well for England. I thought yesterday, the first day, England had a poor day. They bowled badly. They should have bowled India out for around about 160, 170. India were 200 for 6. But today, those last 4 wickets for India fell very quickly, underlining actually India's fragility in the tail. Their tail has been poor all series actually, and the last 4 wickets fell for about 8 runs. I mean, it just went in an absolute blur. And Gus Atkinson, his 4th 5-wicket haul, deserved it, bowled so well. And then there was that opening stand by Crawley and Duckett, and then sort of gradually superb bowling by Mohammad Siraj chipped away at the English wickets. But even then, Harry Brook played an enterprising innings, ran out of partners sort of in the end and was the last man out. But it was, all day, the ball beat the bat, but then the ball whistled to the boundary.
Yeah. Now, there might be people who look back on the highlights, whatever, on Sky or BBC, and say, well, what sort of shot was Duckett playing? What sort of shot was Crawley playing? But I think the point was that on that surface, against the new ball, against the Indian bowlers, 3-man attack, England like to play positively, but here you could understand why they went quite hard at it, and it worked, didn't it? I mean, look, you get a base of 92 on a surface like that, where the ball's doing quite a lot, then I think your approach is justified. So,
I agree. Yeah,
Duckett out to a reverse ramp. I mean, it looks bad, doesn't it? You think, you think of those batters that have been dismissed in the past, reversing. I mean, Joe Root was out in India, wasn't he, playing a reverse against Bumrah, and it looked bad. Because it felt like the wrong choice of shot at that point. But you could understand why Duckett was doing it. The ball was zipping around. India had that new ball. England were trying to take them on. And look, it happens, doesn't it? And he actually nailed a few, and he got England going as well. But what happened, of course, is once they did lose a couple of early wickets, or a couple of wickets, eventually, then India got to work on that surface because there's enough in it.
Yeah.
And I think, probably India did quite well to only lose 2 wickets tonight to get to the close, 2 wickets down, which has given them the chance tomorrow to build on a potentially good batter today.
Look, I thought that opening partnership by England was really clever, actually. And the thing is that some of those shots look a bit kamikaze, don't they, at times, especially Duckett. But there's a strategy, there's a method behind the madness, and that is that on a helpful pitch like this, if you've got batsmen taking risks and playing slightly outrageous shots, I mean, in Crawley's case, it was more orthodox. It was sort of imperious driving more than outrageous shots. But, there was a classic impudence from Duckett with that sort of reverse ramp that he played off one ball and going right outside off stump and scooping the bowler over the keeper's head for 6. I mean, fantastic shots. And the thing is, if you're a bowler trying to find that nagging line and length on a helpful pitch, and you know that you're expected to take wickets, it puts you under massive pressure. Funnily enough, I was listening to the England women's goalkeeper the other day, who saved all those brilliant penalty saves, and she was saying actually that she felt quite confident as the goalkeeper in a penalty shootout because the strikers are expected to score, so there's no pressure on the keeper. And I think it's the same on a pitch like this. The bowlers are expected to take wickets, so they're the ones under pressure. The batters can actually take risks because they're almost expected to get out, they're expected to get a good ball, and so live expansively while you're there, put the bowlers under pressure, make them feel nervous, make them feel apprehensive, and you might get a good score. And as it proved, actually, really, England got 100 runs as a sort of bonus with that opening stand of 90 odd. And once the bowlers got into their rhythms against the lower order or the middle order, they found a bit more consistency. But it's hard bowling at Crawley and Duckett when they're playing like that.
Yeah, I mean, you say the lower order. It was the middle order.
The middle order,
actually.
I meant,
yes. The top middle order. And actually, because they do play a bit more conventionally,
yes,
don't they? Play open route, they play a bit more conventionally. And Harry Brook came in and played a massive swipe. Second ball, got inside edge before, got pretty lucky. So and that shows you, I think, perhaps the degree of difficulty in those conditions. I'm fascinated to see how long they last and whether they are going to last or whether the pitch is going to flatten out. I think there is a feeling there are those dints that we talked about last night, and Gus Atkinson took a wicket before the close when he got rid of Station Dust, and it kept low. So there have been some balls that bounced a bit more than you expected, some balls that kept low, which makes me think that if India can cobble together a decent score tomorrow somehow or other, perhaps set England 250, 300, then they have got a great chance of winning this test match. The problem for England, and it's something we talked about last night, it's something obvious, isn't it, that they've just got that 3-man attack and they don't have those bowling resources. They've got to do it quite quickly, otherwise they're going to be running on empty, those bowlers. They're going to have to bowl quite a lot, and they're going to have to use Root and Bethel. I don't see those two bowlers being that much of a threat in these conditions. I mean, look, it's a 5-seamer pitch, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You talk. Surrey have sometimes played 5-seamers here at the Oval, haven't they? They've had those because they know that's the way to go. Yeah. It's not a 4-seamer pitch; it's a 5-seamer pitch. If you can possibly cram 5-seamers into your attack, which is actually bizarre because India only have 3-seamers themselves, and those 2 spinners. It's a curiosity of the game.
Overall, India have bowled better. They bowled well. I mean, Mohammad Siraj this afternoon. Really kind of got chipping away at the England middle order. A couple of LBWs, got Root out. I mean, it's pretty hard to get Root out. By the way, anyone who last night listened to us saying, I think it was something like 11 to 10 that Root would score 4 boundaries. Well, he got these 4 boundaries, didn't he? He didn't last much longer than that, but he did hit several lovely boundaries square of the wicket before getting pinned LBW. Obviously, Ollie Pope also out in a similar way. And, Siraj just kept going. I think he bowled an 8-over spell. And he made light of the fact that he had to keep on going and going and going and going at the batters and chipped away at the sort of middle order. And then it was Brook who kind of held that middle to lower order together. Otherwise, England could have been knocked over for under 200. But they just sort of eked out that slight lead. All runs are going to be so precious here, aren't they?
Yeah. I'm credit to Siraj. He's played every match.
Yeah.
And Chris Wokes has played every match, but he's ducked out because of that serious shoulder injury that he's got, which is a real sort of blow for him.
And we hear actually that it's probably dislocation and that it could require surgery and could keep him out for 5 or 6 months. Actually, hopefully not, but it sounds poor.
Yeah,
it sounds likely going to keep him out for a while.
Yeah, I mean, as a bowler, you're going to get injuries. You know that yourself. But to have one like that, it's really unfortunate, especially with the Ashes. His last Ashes series potentially coming up. I presume that he would be among the battery of pace bowlers that England will take to Australia, but that must put his Ashes tour in doubt. So really tough on him. But Siraj just kept on going throughout the series. Actually, we saw it at Edgbaston, didn't we? When Bumrah didn't play, Siraj stepped up, and Bumrah's not playing it, albeit these conditions are better for bowling.
Yeah.
He stepped. I thought he was superb this afternoon. He kept on going and bowled with great heart, but also great skill as well. And if people might say the first 2 wickets, England frittered those wickets away. Well, we disagree with that, because that was probably the way to go for those 2 in these conditions. But those middle session wickets, they were earned, weren't they? They were with good balls. Pope, one that nipped back. Root, one that just nipped back a little bit as well. And Jacob Bethel as well, the one that swung in. So those were bowlers' wickets rather than batters. Perhaps making it a bit easier for the bowler. So full credit to India, albeit in decent conditions. And I suppose. I spoke to Prasad Krishna at the end. I said, when you look at a pitch like that, you think, oh yeah, at last. And you do, don't you, as a bowler? You think, at last I've got a pitch that I can bowl on and I can show my skill. But albeit that, as you said, that you're under a bit of pressure because you're expected to do well. But I mean, you want to bowl on a pitch like that, wouldn't you?
No, and
even though you say it puts you under pressure.
It does put you under pressure, but you're getting reward for your efforts. It's lovely to see the ball move. I mean, the problem you get sometimes is you see the ball move so much that you think, I'm going to get a wicket every ball, and you've got to keep on. I mean, often the ball does too much and beats the bat by sort of 4 inches, and then you get frustrated and you can start getting, almost a bit sort of impatient. You have to still be patient and not try too much. And I thought that Siraj and Krishnan, actually Prasad Krishna, bowled superbly well. And actually, if you look at the pitch, you talked about the dinch. What I think you are actually getting now is sort of some bare bits and some grassy bits. So what the effect that has is that if it hits the bare bit, it keeps low, and if it hits a grassy bit...
So you don't think it's the dinch at all? You think it's the contrast?
I think it's almost the patchiness of the coverage. Yeah.
Marcus just got to mention the dints in the pitch tonight.
Well, no, it'll be uneven bounce, but I'm looking at the coverage. You've got green bits and slightly barer bits, and so that causes what players like to call two paceness. Some balls coming off a bit quicker than others. I was hoping Bethel, having kind of promoted him a bit earlier in the series, I thought today could be his day, and he could get a sort of brisk 50. He did get a good ball actually. He looked calm at the crease in his first Test innings at home, but he did, having got one boundary away, he was pinned by that late swinger. And a failure, but it's pretty much his first failure in Test cricket actually.
Yeah, it must have been pretty tough for him actually, because he's barely played any cricket. He's been talked up. Got to get him in the side, got to get him in the side. You must have thinking, please get me in the side. And then eventually does get his chance. He came in at a real pressure moment when India were fighting their way back, and just before he was out, he played one tremendous shot where he came down the pitch and crashed it through the offside. Yeah. Next ball was an excellent piece of bowling, wasn't it? That full swinging delivery, and it kind of hit the pad before he could get the bat down on it. It was a strange dismissal actually, and he knew, didn't he? I mean, most batters walk up the other end and have a chat and say, oh, that was probably going down or going over or going underneath or something, or there was a pigeon flying over the ground and that distracted me. But he just kind of like, oh yeah, that's out, isn't it? I know that's out. Absolutely plumb, had to walk off. And
another an unusual failure for Jamie Smith today. Brilliant catch, I thought, by KL Rahul at second slip, in contrast to some of England's slip fielding later on. Very sharp catch high above his head at second slip, but Jamie Smith hasn't failed very often in this series, has he, with nearly 500 runs. So that exposed England's sort of bowlers, and I mean, apart from Brooks' ingenuity, there wasn't much in the lower order today, was there?
Well, Jamie Overton hasn't had much cricket.
No.
It probably showed, and he played more with the pad than the bat. It's a difficult game, and he's yet to take a wicket, and he's yet to score a run in the match, so it can only get better. You'd hope it can only get better from here. And Gus Atkinson came out and played some nice shots. Yeah. And you thought, wow, this could work. You had the strange situation where it was near at the end of England innings. We had 2 batters out there who both scored Test centuries, which is Atkinson and Harry Brook. it was kind of like one of those days. I mean, Smith, big drive, nicked off, and then Atkinson tried to pull a shortish ball and miscued it to mid-on. It just needed something there in the tail to support Harry Brook. Josh Chung did his best, stuck it out, didn't he? But then, you know, it's often the way. The batter who's the onus is on the batter to score, and you play an extravagant shot too many, and he was cleaned up, wasn't he? Played on, and that was the end of England's innings with a lead of 23. I must say, I thought to mitigate against having just three pace bowlers and basically three frontline bowlers, that's all they got. To mitigate, I thought they needed like an absolute minimum 100-run lead, or
at least 300 score. 80-run lead.
Yeah,
maybe.
I thought 100. Yeah. I thought 100 lead, or 100 lead puts you in a really strong position in the match. But 23 runs, it's a balance. It's right in the balance sort of lead, isn't it? Really, it's neither here nor there, and England will have to bat last. I love the way that Jaiswal came out and played, but he got some luck. I mean, England would look back at that, and then tough night for Liam Dawson. He's not part of this team, but dropped a catch at fine leg. It looked as though it was just sailing nicely into his breadbasket, and he just seemed to lose it in the floodlights or whatever. The lights were on. That was a bad drop. Harry Brook dropped one after catching quite a few good ones this summer. So Jaiswal's had a life of 20 and 40. So he's in his third innings. I mean, you don't want to be giving him 3 innings.
No. It's funny, actually, because I was at the pavilion end when England came out to take the field, and just before they did some slip catching practice right in front of me. Brendan McCullum wielding the bat and the slip cordon there, but Brook wasn't ready because he was the last man out. So he didn't take his place in the slip cordon for practice. So it was Root and Pope, and they both dropped practically everything. So I thought, God, I mean, that's a bit of a worry. Are they not picking the ball up very well? That light was a funny light towards the end of the day, with the floodlights on, the sun sort of coming down, but half the ground in shadow. I think the light was a bit awkward, actually, which may be one of the reasons why they missed a couple of chances.
Well, I think Liam Dawson suggested that, because he dropped the ball, then he had no idea where it had gone. He was like, look, where's it gone?
He was looking straight into the sun, wasn't he?
Yeah,
and the floodlight as well.
And the floodlights. The new floodlights here as well, which they're configured as the 3 feathers, aren't they?
Is that what they are?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's weird, isn't it? I looked at them, I thought they look a bit higgledy-piggledy, but that's what they are. It's the 3 Surrey feathers. And all the lights look...
But there's 4 floodlights. Oh no, there are. Oh yes, there are.
Yeah,
there's one up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course there are 4 floodlights. But the lights, the actual individual lights, look at slightly different angles. I mean, they must have worked out scientifically to make the best possible floodlights. Anyway, it looked as though it was quite difficult to see. And England dropped 3 catches. Zach Crawley dropped one as well. That was another one that should have been taken. Siddharth, unfortunately for him, he'll be sleep a bit more comfortably tonight, because fortunately for him, Atkinson dismissed Siddharth not long afterwards. But for Harry Brook, and especially for Liam Dawson, it's a horrible feeling, isn't it, when you drop a crucial catch, especially when you're kind of like semi-detached in the game, and you come on as a subfielder for Chris Wokes.
I'm just thinking of the catches I dropped,
yeah.
actually, and you just have this sinking feeling. Please will that player not score too many?
Did it play on your mind
yes,
or into the next day as well?
Well, I dropped in a semi-final, actually, a NatWest knockout semi-final. I dropped Guillaume Mendes of Lancashire, 4-live Sussex, on 7, and he got 100. And it leaves you with this sort of pit in your, this sort of like a big rock in your stomach.
Where were you?
For the rest, mid-off, in a fairly easy catch. And then we lost the game, and Lancashire went on to win the tournament. Yeah, I mean, you just have this sinking feeling when you miss a catch, unless the guy's out soon after.
Yeah, and that's that feeling your teammates are all thinking the same thing, aren't they? Why did you drop that catch? You're an absolute goober,
Dozy bastard.
Yeah, it's that sort of feeling, isn't it? And it makes you feel small, even though no one needs to drop a catch, and you're always trying to take every catch that comes your way. And look, I mean, some of them are. It's remarkable. It actually looks, on TV, it looks quite straightforward, especially when they slow it down. But when you're here, you see the pace at which the ball sort of flashes towards the field.
And added to that, also, what you're getting here at this ground is people trying to go after the bowling, because the ball is doing a bit off the pitch, so the batters are a little bit more ambitious and extravagant with their shots, which adds a bit of speed to the potential catch, slicing it, carving it. So it comes at quite a high level, not awkward heights where you don't know whether to reverse cut your hands and things like that, or it comes sort of quite quickly to your left or right. So it takes some catching, some of those.
Yeah, so a tough night for England in the field, which has left this game right in the balance.
Yeah, it is right in the balance. So that, you know, India are 75 for 2 with a lead of 52. I don't think England can afford more. They don't want to be chasing more than 250. So they've got to bowl India out for 270, I would say. And there's India bat a long way down, and England have only got three frontline seamers. So they've got to work really hard and hope that things work out for them.
Right, so let's finish with our Betfair exchange. It was a pretty feisty day's cricket out there today. I mean, we talked about all the sort of glorious stroke making, all the wickets and the drama. Throw that into the pot with a lot of chat out on the field. So 3 main incidents. There was one when Ben Duckett was out, and he'd been playing these reverses and ramps, and it'd come off, and then he tried to reverse and was caught behind. And the bowler Akashdeep, I don't think I've ever seen this before. So sometimes when a bloke makes 150 or 200, the other opposition will come up to you and he'll put an arm around you, pat you, and say, "Well, you well played." This wasn't that. There was Akashdeep going to Duckett, kind of walking off with his arm round him. I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. And Marcus Trescothick, I spoke to him after, and he's quite strong at it, really. He said, "I'm surprised that Duckett did quite well not to react, because your reaction might be to kind of like push the guy away," and he didn't. He said something to Akashdeep. It was a strange incident, really. I don't think bowlers should be doing that. So it'll be interesting to see whether the match referee takes any action. And then there was another incident involving Joe Root. I've never seen Joe Root so animated on the field. Prasad Krishna beat him outside the off stump, presumably said something, offered a word, and the next ball Joe Root cut him away for 4, and then they were going at it, and umpire Dharmasena had to step in. I asked Prasad Krishna about it, and he said, I just said, you're playing well. They kind of like parried it, really. It was nothing, it was just a bit of chat on the field. We decided to get into him because he's been thorn in our flesh in this series, trying to disrupt him. And then at the end there, when Siddharthan was at LBW, he reviewed it. It was pretty plumb. There was another bit of chat going on between Siddharthan and Duckett. So, look, I presume they'll go into each other's dressing rooms at the end of the day, play, shake hands, hug each other, and say, well done. But with this match going on and the series going on, it's quite feisty out there.
Yeah, and I think it's good to see. I think it's great for the game, and I would like to see players mic'd up. Why don't we mic them up? We can hear them anyway on the stump mics a fair bit. I don't
think we know. We say we have the stump. I don't think we know. We've kind of like asked around. I don't think we know what was said between Prasad Krishna and Root. That they were kind of in the middle of the pitch, so might just been away from the stump mics.
But I mean, we got some nice exchanges at Lord's,
yeah,
didn't we? When Duckett and Crawley wasted a bit of time.
Well, grow some balls.
Yeah, I think there was a swear word in there as well.
Yeah,
and I mean, it comes out on the stump mics, and as long as it's not personal abuse or racist or whatever, it's fine, isn't it? I think it adds to the entertainment. Let's have them mic'd up.
Mic up the players.
Yeah.
Well,
I would do it for the 100, actually.
Well, they do mic some players up for the 100.
Yeah.
Don't they? The thing is, with the 100, it's because it's kind of like a family show,
yeah,
and that's how it's packaged. Then I don't think that would really make great television. I suppose what you want is, this is a genuine contest, isn't it, between these two teams? They're going at it really hard, and I suppose it would be nice to eavesdrop, wouldn't it? It'd be nice to know what they've said and what the interaction is between the two sides. I mean, back in the day, people used to say what happens on the field stays on the field, and then TV becomes more intrusive. They put the stump mics in, you can hear what's being said out there. And then the idea behind it, of course, is to bring the game into the viewer's sitting room, isn't it? To really sort of you really feel as though you're close to it. You can hear what's being said out on the field, and it's kind of an insight into what's happening. But inevitably, then players get a bit riled up. They say things that they don't necessarily want to be broadcast. I wouldn't be for miking up players, really. I think the stump mics are fine. I mean, where do we?
You're an old Luddite.
Well, where do we want to go with this? We don't want to intrude that much, do we?
Well, why not? I think it's great. I would actually. I know this sounds really radical, but I would actually mic a player up so that when he walks off from being dismissed for a duck, he goes, oh shit, that was a crap shot, or I didn't deserve to be our LBW, that was a terrible decision, or something. I want to hear that. But I mean, I know I'm probably in a minority of one.
Yeah, I think you probably are. And look, when they start, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of players sort of doing interviews on the field during games. And it can work
Why?
sometimes. Well, because I think the players should be left to concentrate on the match. But
they're entertainers at the end of the day.
Well, let cricket do the talking. They're entertaining because they're playing the cricket, not because they're chatting to the audience. I mean, look, it does work sometimes. If you get someone who's really good on the mic, can explain the strategy.
Actually, I remember A.B. de Villiers. It was an IPL game, admittedly not a test match, but he was brilliant. He was keeping wicket and actually commentating as he took the ball and explaining about his movement and about what the ball did, and almost actually making the commentators redundant. That's what you're trying to do, really, isn't it? Is stop commentators from being made redundant.
No, I just think there should be some, what's the word? Not secrecy, but
Mystery?
Yeah, a little bit of mystery that we can try to interpret.
Have you been talking to Michael Atherton?
No.
Do you know,
is that what he said?
Well, I approached him in 1998 and I said, I think we should put cameras in the dressing room and mic up the players at certain times. He was, no, we can't do that. We need a bit of secrecy and mystery in the dressing room.
Yeah. Well,
I said, oh God, that was 1998.
Yeah. Well,
I'm still trying.
Look, things change, don't they? Television becomes more intrusive. We want greater and greater access. I think we kind of let the players play, have the stump mic, which
I suppose gives you a little bit.
It does,
it?
yeah. It gives you
Rishabh
enough.
Pant, he was brilliant. Do you remember in one of those series in Australia, there was a great altercation between Tim Payne and Rishabh Pant, and Tim Payne sort of accusing Rishabh Pant of being a child, and Rishabh Pant saying, "I'll happily babysit for you," and all that. I mean, it's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it sometimes it works, doesn't it? But then in this series, people have got a bit irate, and I don't know what was said between Prasad Krishna and Joe Root. Some things you probably don't want necessarily to be broadcast. I mean, sometimes you get swear words on the field, and then you have that sort of tedious thing where the commentators say, if you heard some swearing, we apologise for it. Well, you probably don't necessarily want to go down that route. Yeah, leave it with the stump mics. Don't mic the players up.
Okay.
Don't, unless you've got someone who's really good as well at explaining the game. Don't mic the players up for interviews either. I've never been a huge fan of that. Look, if you want to do it, fine, and they do it, and we will see it in the 100 and various T20 competitions. They actually don't do it in the IPL, do they? They don't mic up the players.
No, they don't. Well, they used to, but they don't seem to now.
No, because I think it slightly devalues the product. If the product's worth playing, you just want your focus to be on what's happening on the field and just purveying your art as well as you possibly can.
Plus the problem of having these backpacks on as well.
Yeah, well,
you land on one diving over the boundary, get electrocuted.
Yeah. But of course, there is a journalistic part of me which would sort of love to hear what Duckett said to Akash Deep as they walked off. We'd love to hear what Prasad Krishna said to Joe Root, what Joe Root said back. But you might find it comes out through one quarter or another, or you might end up finding out what was said 10 years down the line when Joe Root's working in the media.
Well, it probably won't happen anyway. And I think we should draw a close to this.
They turn the lights off.
Turn the lights off. It's almost dark. Everyone's gone home. Just to recap, though, India 75 for 2, a lead of 52. Which means, I don't know, if they get a lead of 250 to 280, I think they've won. But, who wants to predict this series? It's almost impossible. Certainly Betfair doesn't, because they've made it evens for both teams to win. So we have no idea who's going to win this game, but we're looking forward to tomorrow, and we'll be back to report on it. So we'll speak to you then.
Yeah, fascinating third day in prospect. Thanks so much for listening. Speak to you tomorrow. Okay, there we go. That's about half an hour. What bloody hell time is it?
It's